Hello, everybody. I think we're live, huh? It's so good. So many fruits. Apple, mango, grapes, a lot of cinnamon dates. Too good. Ugh. Everything hurts. Let's start with the song, just as always. Song to the mother. Jayambe Jagadambe Mata Bhavani Jayambe Jayambe Jagadambe Mata Bhavani Jayambe Tinashini Durga Jaya Jaya Kalavinashini Kali Jaya Jaya Durga Tinashini Durga Jaya Jaya Kalavinashini Kali Jaya Jaya Umarama Brahmani Jaya Jaya Radarukamani Sita Jaya Jaya Umarama Brahmani Jaya Jaya Radarukamani Sita Jaya Jaya Jayambe Jagadambe Mata Bhavani Jayambe Jayambe Jagadambe Mata Bhavani Jayambe Jay Mom. It's a new one I'm trying to learn. So today I want to talk about a new book I wrote. Sorry for the clickbait. It's not a real book. It's not like a physical copy. That is coming as well. I'm planning to write one as well. But I wrote a free guide. It's kind of an ebook. A little short, sweet ebook that I wrote. It's called 5 Steps to Embody Your Psychedelic Insights into Daily Life. The download link is in the video description. You can download it for free if you want to. I'm quite happy with it. It's quite basic, but it's powerful. It's kind of talking to the basics of psychedelic integration. Ooh, my tea is all over now. Damn it. What am I gonna do? Yeah. Before I go into these 5 steps of psychedelic integration, I want to talk about my day. Because my day was very interesting. No, it was not that interesting. My body hurts for whatever reason. My whole body is just in pure pain, which I don't understand. That's interesting. Sometimes it feels like why? What is like my mind doesn't understand. It's like why do I experience so much pain? And then it's just like, oh well, okay, this is what it is now. Like this is it. I don't understand. Maybe I don't need to understand. and that's okay. Also, I just came back from like a little guided meditation, a little kind of group meditation in my city here, and this organization, it's called The Art of Living, and they're so cute. It's like I don't know. It shouldn't sound judgmental, but I'm like, it's so basic, you know. It's like it doesn't. It's beautiful. It's cute, but there's a certain part of me that kind of desires a certain sense of depth when I go out and meet people and go to these circles. And a lot of the times here, or in a lot of events, right, this expectation, this desire is not fulfilled to meet people with this certain kind of depth to them. And as I said, it was cute. There were nice people, and I enjoyed a little basic breath meditation and a little bit of singing mantras, but not like, it wasn't really like extraordinary, like super connecting and cool. But I kind of made it a plan now to go out at least once a week. It's because when I'm here, like in my room, in my house, it's like I'm also good with not leaving the house. I'm very happy alone, and then I have these periods of being alone, and then sometimes I notice, and then when I'm traveling, I meet a lot of people, like here and there and everywhere, right? But then I want to go out in my city, and it's like, yeah, I try to go out at least once a week, and there's cute stuff happening here, but also slowly I kind of feel the desire to move. Like, if you have any recommendations on what's a really cool place to live around the globe, doesn't matter where. Well, it does matter. It should be a bit warm, also during winter. I might come and move there, because I have no clue where I'm going to move, but I feel like something is moving in me that I might want to move south towards warm weather. Yeah, as always, feel free to ask any questions anytime in the chat, and I am more than happy to talk and communicate and answer everything, just to, yeah, get to know you guys a little bit better as well, and form and deepen our connection. I think that's very beautiful, and the live streaming is a very beautiful way to do that. Otherwise, I'm gonna get into the content of the 5 steps to embody your psychedelic insights into daily life. And what we're looking at here is kind of a holistic guide of integration, right? And first of all, I want to start with a little bit of an acknowledgement and saying, like, hey, if you're watching this and you have gone into psychedelic space, you might have had some very powerful experiences and some very deep insights. And even that fact alone is like, that's huge. That's such a great blessing, you know, to have had these experiences, to kind of glimpsed these different states of consciousness, maybe a little bit of bliss, maybe a little bit of an emotional release, right? This, wow, or insights about your life, how you want to show up on a moment-to-moment basis. That's powerful. But what I noticed in a lot of my experiences, and with a lot of people and coaching clients I talk to, it's like these insights or these experiences, they fade away so fast. They're like, wow, this was crazy. I'm never gonna forget this, right? You're like, I'm gonna never be able to live and go back to my old ways of being, to my old habits. And then a couple of days, a couple of weeks go by, and you find yourself in your old habits, and you're like, whoo, How did that happen? I don't know why I fell back into my old habits. I thought I was gonna transform because of this psychedelic experience. And then it's this question of this relatively new word that's coming up, right? It's psychedelic integration. It's a new word, I guess, from the West. Because there's no real structures in place in our society that support this kind of very deeply personal transformative experience with these expanded states of consciousness. And then of course we would feel like we're retreating back in old habits if our environment, if our relationships are just in this sense of homeostasis in their old ways of being. Of course we're gonna be pulled into that again and kind of adjust to that. And also it's hard to break the homeostasis of our mind with these deeply ingrained belief systems that we have, deeply ingrained ways of going about things, even like our physical side of things, of diet and health and sleep. So this is kind of the scenario, right? And to then ask, like, okay, how can I actually bring those insights and those experiences into my day-to-day life, right? How can I truly embody what I've learned? So this inspired me, this question, to kind of write this guide and say, like, okay, I want to kind of map out and say a little bit about how we can actually embody our insights in our day-to-day life. What is integration actually all about? And there's so many kind of angles to hit this from, and this is just one possible perspective on the whole thing that is also focusing more on like the self-actualization and the self-realization part. Not so much, a little bit, but not so much on this kind of deep psychedelic therapy work that is coming up for a lot of people. So one definition I love about integration is, and I don't know if anybody has said that before, but that's kind of a sentence that came up for me as I was going deeper into this work of integration. It's that psychedelic integration is life. Psychedelic integration is life. That's it. Our life is the psychedelic integration. There's nothing separate from our psychedelic integration. It's all one. It's like even the experience itself is almost like a part of the integration. But then as soon as the experience ends and you enter, it's like that's where your integration begins. And then it doesn't stop. It's not like I'm integrating a little bit and then I'm not integrating anymore. It's like this integration is the continuous movement and the continuous spectrum of what you call your life. And your life has many different facets, right? All of our lives have all these different influences that are influencing us. And what I want to go into is kind of each and every one of the influences that are present in everybody's life. And we can start with the first one, which is just like a basic, simple physical influencer, which is kind of relating to everything or referring to everything to our body, right? Our health, our energy, our physical well-being. And a lot of this is overlooked, that this is part of the integration, because especially with the psychedelic experiences, sometimes they take us so far out of the body, right? They're like we're having all these thoughts, these genius insights, or these spiritual experiences, or we're leaving our body completely and we're just entering into entity land. Lemon ginger ingwer. My God. And we're forgetting about the integration of the body, but this body is the temple, right? This is our temple. This is our base. And no matter how far we ascend, up and up and up to the higher and higher levels, to the Lord, right? We're always going to be coming down. We're always coming back to this body in this life, right? To this breath right here, which is connected to this body, to this heartbeat. So taking care of the body, from nutrition to eating habits to rest, this is kind of the baseline of our integration, right? To come back to the body and feel grounded and strong and present. And I've noticed that the more I am taking care of my body in ways of sleeping enough, in ways of eating very good food, right? A lot of fresh fruits and veggies, leafy greens. The more my consciousness crystallizes as well. The more my consciousness is very clean, and clear. And almost like similar to psychedelic space. Because all these things allow us to raise our awareness. So one part of it is grounding, right? My favorite grounding practice is walking barefoot. I love it so much. I can't stop eating these fruits, sorry. They're so good. I shouldn't have made them, but I'm really hungry as well. Walking barefoot has just like been a game changer for me in sense of grounding. It just calms my nervous system. It's realigning me. It's making me very aware of where I am in the world, and it's connecting me to my body, because my body, my feet are connected to the earth, and then feeling all this earth and the grass and the sand and the concrete and the and the glass in the city. It's a very beautiful experience, very grounding practice. And movement is also a big part of taking care of our body, right? I've been wanting to implement a stretching routine, and even in psychedelic space, right? Sometimes you feel your body and you're like, wow, I feel my body, this is it. And then you're doing like some weird stuff and like twisting and turning and just trying out different positions. And then you're like, at least in some of my experience, I'm like, I should stretch more in my day to day, because my body wants to be stretched, but I'm not doing it. So then the work of integration on the physical influencer in our physical domain becomes implementing a stretching routine, running a little bit, exercise, moving, even if it's just slow movement, a little bit of hatha yoga, tai chi, qigong, right? Keep that energy flowing within you and kind of move that energy. Sometimes we're also so charged up in the psychedelic experience that that energy just wants to be moved in different directions. It just wants to be processed through the physical domain. So that's one part of it. As I said, diet is a big one as well. I think no human being has figured out diet, but just giving it some awareness, like, if your diet is good or not. Kind of like if you really look at it, I feel like that certain things are not aligned. And so then what's stopping you from changing? Is it uncomfortable? Is it just like, what is it that brings you back to these like comfort foods that are not good for you? Looking at this, like honestly just looking at this, and bringing a sense of desire into your life to really change your diet in a way that feels good for your body, where you're energized, you're waking up and you're like full of energy, not so heavy after each meal and not so tired. It's like, it's incredible how many people overlook this, of how important diet is. And then rest and sleep. A good sleep hygiene. Maybe not too many screens right before you go to bed. For example, right now. If you're watching this in the evening. Sleeping good. Whatever amount of hours is right for you. 7 hours, 8 hours. Maybe even having a specific time that you go to sleep, and then waking up in the morning and getting up. Right? So you're well rested. That's it. Right? This is the basic work of integration. And with each and every domain, there's also a little bit of a pitfall, or actually many pitfalls that we can fall into for our integration work. So for example, for the physical influencer, it's forgetting and neglecting the body, being so caught up in the spiritual and the mental and the emotional aspects of our life that we're just forgetting the body. Right? And also, I guess it's also interesting and important to look at the physical after effects of psychedelics. Like, there's still a lot of mystery around it, of like, is it toxic? Is it good for the body? Like, what is it? And what are these headaches or intense physical after effects? Like a lot of vibrating energy in our body. What are those about? Like, looking at them and addressing them, and not neglecting them or overriding them with other kind of distractions. Crucial point. Those fruits are just too good. So the next influencer is then the mental influencer, which is everything relating to the mind, everything relating to the brain as well, to our cognition, to our focus, to our clarity, to our thoughts, to our mindset. Because all of this is influencing our day-to-day, of course, in very significant ways. Creativity, problem solving, planning. Our mind is very active. Sometimes for some people even overly active, right? And it's good to process and rationalize and attempt to make sense out of psychedelic experiences. Many people neglect that as well and say like, oh, keep the mind aside and just focus on silencing it and meditation and transcending the ego. But this is like a very useful thing, a tool that we have here, right? Which can truly assist us in building a great life. It's a fantastic tool. It's a very necessary tool for our culture, for our society, for everything that we do, for our work. And with proper integration, we can manage to kind of take some of these insights and use them to train our mind, to kind of refine our mind and our mental mechanisms which are in place, which is a beautiful process of integration, right? And also to then get this and integrate this sense of mental clarity. It's like, okay, I've experienced something, and now in my mind I kind of change my perception on certain things, my mindset on certain things. I integrate a certain principle that I have realized in psychedelic space and say like, okay, for example, the principle that, what can we learn out of psychedelic space? From challenges we are growing. right? Sometimes in psychedelic space, you're like, wow, that was a challenging experience. And then you're like, I grew so much from that. So having then that principle and taking it and implementing it into your worldview, saying like, now I'm experiencing a challenging experience. For me, example, it is right now, it's like my body hurts. What can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? So this is kind of like the practice of contemplation, contemplating different things. Asking yourself questions is a powerful practice regarding the mental influencer. One I loved recently was, what is my highest excitement right now? Or another one I love is, how can I make this easy? How can I make this fun? And then engaging with your mind in that activity of contemplation, asking yourself that question. Maybe journaling about it. It's a wonderful thing to do, to bring everything you've experienced in your psychedelic space, bring it onto a piece of paper. Or if you prefer, a note in your digital device. But I'm old school. I love pieces of paper. Write everything down. If it's just a free flow, if it's asking yourself these questions, it's like writing and writing and writing and writing is a wonderful way of processing it. And then even continue on that practice of journaling. Sometimes I have phases, like for example, right now I'm not journaling as much, maybe a little weekly reflection. And then sometimes I'm journaling daily. And when I'm journaling daily, it's like I notice the how it impacts my mind and my sense of clarity, kind of this, and it's facilitating this self-awareness. Wow, it's a powerful practice. And another one is just like to train this voice in your mind. It's possible to integrate in a way where you're good to yourself, like your self-talk is enjoyable. Because if your self-talk is not enjoyable, when you're talking to yourself, whatever that even means, it's like that's a insanity in and of itself almost. But when you're talking to yourself, which we're doing all the time, then at least let it be a fun, good conversation. Right? I don't know, sometimes I'm a bit crazy, or I recognize, I don't know how it's for other minds, but my mind seems to be nuts, but I approach it with a sense of humor, and I kind of speak to myself in a way that's kind and compassionate and funny and enjoyable. So make your mind, don't try to get rid of your mind, but it's like make it a good place, make it a happy place, an enjoyable place for you to swim in and enjoy. So that's it. With a mental influencer, there's also a couple of kind of pitfalls or things that might be good to be aware of, which is one, the information overload. Like sometimes the psychedelic experience can just reveal so much, and we're like, wow, this was insane. This was like an insane experience. And there's like 100 million different things that I want to integrate all at once. And then I forget so many of them, and that's so bad. So don't even try from the beginning to integrate each and every one of your realizations, because it is truly just too much for the mind to take on. It's just the case. And then just to appreciate that and say like, okay, I can just take one insight or two, and then kind of build these in to my mind. And that's okay. I'll leave out the rest for now. But I'll just kind of choose the most important ones and then go with these. And also, a common one is jumping to action too soon. Like, give yourself some time to reflect and settle in after your psychedelic experience, because it's like, I know it can feel so tempting to go and jump into big actions after psychedelic experiences. Of like you realize like I don't want to live with a phone, and then you're like and you throw your phone away and you destroy it, and then you're like, oh, I needed that for some like verification 2-step process on my Google account. That's an extreme example, right? But kind of get the principle. Don't book a flight to Brazil just because you've had a good LSD experience, which is what I did. Okay, well, good. Best decision of my life. But you might want to give yourself some time to reflect and let that clarity sink in for a bit before you take any powerful or very deeply impactful actions. So that was the mental influencer. The emotional influencer is another one, which is anything relating to our emotions and our feelings. Everything to our internal state, kind of. Emotion. Also energy in motion. Also kind of like a pointing and a guidance towards something. Right? Very interesting domain, which psychedelics open up. Right? They open us up to access different emotions and depth and intensity of emotion that we were not able to integrate before, or to kind of glimpse and access before. So that's beautiful, right? That's a huge potential for the healing benefits of psychedelics, to kind of really work on that emotional level. And that in and of itself is healing. But then to integrate this, wow, that's where the work begins, right? To not let kind of your system suppress them automatically again, but really, maybe even if it's all right with your environment and you can handle that in your day-to-day and it's not too distracting, but keep them at the surface. Maybe through something like breath work, kind of doing some breath work to keeping your emotions in your awareness. Create space for them. Go to spaces where you can express your emotions. A lot of that is also related to the physical influence. So doing somatic work is kind of a wonderful way to process emotions as well. Read about emotional intelligence. Study some trauma work, some psychology. Also deeply related to that mental influence, so studying. But this allows you to kind of keep doing this emotional work, what the psychedelic experience has set into motion. And that kind of allows you to then move into a more aligned version of yourself with kind of a more regulated emotional system that is then allowing you to stay in your new version of yourself, in your new sense of self, not kind of automatically going back because an automatic feeling of guilt or shame or whatever is kind of arising, which you don't even really want to feel, and which then just leads to this like automatic sense of distracting yourself. So that's the emotional influence. And if there's deep stuff coming up in the psychedelic experience, then yes, get some help with this as well. Coaching is a wonderful way I've found to process emotions. Or if it's really like deep trauma work that's coming up, then go and see a therapist. Preferably one which might resonate and align with your values of integration and of psychedelic space. And expressing yourself is also a wonderful way to process emotions. get creative. There's so many practices, so many. Like, I haven't even explored all of them, not even nearly. It was like to draw something, to paint something, to play around and do some sculptures, to really get your kind of emotional energy flowing into a creative outlet, into a creative expression, into a creative process, is a wonderful way to integrate psychedelic experiences. Then at times you even have like a certain sense of like, you kind of paint your state, right? You express your state in the moment. And that energy kind of gets imprinted onto the creation. And then you can reflect on that a couple years later when you might not even be remembering the experience so much. And you're like, this kind of picture, this painting, this creation, this video, this sculpture, it says something about what I kind of went through during that time. And that's a beautiful way to kind of then also have this like reflective point of reference of your emotional state at one point at one point of your journey, of your process. So that's it for the emotional influencer. There's a lot more, right? And a lot of pitfalls as well, which include kind of like avoiding the emotions, suppressing them again, not wanting to feel them, or also going too deep into this emotional work. Also a pitfall that I've seen some friends fall into, which is like something has come up in the psychedelic experience, some emotion, and then it's like this over identification with the emotion, and then it's like, I am traumatized, I'm this, I'm that, I am angry, I gotta work on this shame, and then it's just like their whole life becomes around working on processing emotions, which is then kind of getting out of balance of the physical, mental, and the other influences, which is an overemphasis on the emotional side of things, to process and process more and process more and process more. Like, yes, that's important, that's beautiful work, and continue doing that, like, good job, but don't excessively identify yourself with it and create a story around your emotions and how they're impacting you. So that's regarding the emotions. I'm sorry that my energy is also like a little bit, I don't know, I feel a bit unclear and distracted, as I'm in a lot of physical pain at the moment. So I also might end this soon. But also I want to go into all of the other influences and kind of briefly give an overview of them. So step number 4 is the spiritual influencer. Of course, the one that we all love and appreciate. Everything kind of non-physical, intangible, relating to our human spirit, soul, to God, to spirit, like, yeah, just to the divine, to that life force, meaning. A lot of like philosophical beliefs are also related to spirituality. Spirituality is such an interesting word, as it's like spirituality is also life. Just as psychedelic integration is life, spirituality is life. It's not different from all the other influences. They are all deeply interconnected, right? It's like the spiritual one influences the mental one, and the mental one influences the emotional one, and the emotional one influences the physical one. It's like it's all interrelated, all of them. But still, it's good to kind of have a little bit of a distinction and categorize them into these different buckets to see how can we integrate all of them and kind of have kind of a balanced practice of integration in all of them. So your psychedelic experiences, as you know, can open you up to like profound insights, to deep spiritual experiences, to this connection to your true authentic self and to the divine as well, and kind of like this love And this sense of purpose and alignment and fulfillment and peace is coming through it in those experiences as well. And then when we come back, we're like, where's my peace? Is it gone? Is it not accessible to me in my sober state? Where's the love? Where's God? All right, and then we forgot, or we might even judge ourselves and not understand why we're not as spiritually connected in our day-to-day state. So the practice of integrating this spirituality and these spiritual experiences are, I guess, first of all, it starts with the sense of not judging yourself. Right? A lot of spirituality, in my understanding, is about appreciation of every state of consciousness. So appreciating this current state that is not as spiritually enlightened or awakened as your psychedelic state, or as you would like it to be, not judging that, appreciating that. Not attaching to the state of bliss that you might have glimpsed in some experiences, not attaching to that state of realization. Practicing a little bit of detachment and of love and appreciation of every state of consciousness that you find yourself in, I found is a wonderful way and practice of integration. It's kind of the foundation. And then from there you can just develop this curiosity and reflect and kind of inquire into different experiences that you've had, right? And really kind of feel into them. That's also an aspect of the spiritual integration work that I'm doing. At times, then it's not about the mind. It's not about the emotions. It's not about the physical. It's just like being. It's just like being with my experience. And almost like letting the experience integrate itself into my system. Having this trust, this faith, that basically I don't need to do anything to integrate. But like the integration has already happened. It's happening every moment. And then by just being aware of that sense of presence and being in my heart, that's kind of like the deeper work of spiritual integration. Dropping down into being is a wonderful one. And then of course there can also be like a proactive integration of like really distilling down the principles or the insights that you have experienced, seeing how they fit into your perception, and then trying to embody that newfound understanding. Right? Hey again. Golly and B. Good to see you here. Thanks for your comment. Talking about the spiritual side of psychedelic integration at the moment, regarding a new ebook guide I wrote regarding 5 steps to integrate and embody your psychedelic experiences into daily life. Link is in the video description for the whole book. So, and also many people, many psychonauts that I talk to are overlooking establishing a daily spiritual practice. Like a proper meditation practice. Not going for a walk. My friend Lucas said that yesterday to me on a call. It's like not going on a walk and seeing that as meditation, not cooking some food and seeing that as meditation. Yes, all of that can be a sense of meditation, but having a baseline practice, right? A practice where you're sitting and you're following a serious practice. If it's breath awareness, if it's vipassana, if it's chanting, whatever it might be for you, whatever resonates most, but have a regular practice that becomes the foundation of your life. because these psychedelic experiences, they're fleeting. You know, we're not going into them every single day, even though some people do, and I don't know what to think of that. They're cool people. Sometimes a bit too far out, but this daily practice is like it's your center. That is allowing you to integrate this sense of awareness, presence, peace, happiness, joy, unconditional love. It's that practice. Like, that's the foundation for the psychedelic actualization work as well. And then purpose. Purpose is a good one. I don't know if I would call it spiritual. It definitely kind of flows into the spiritual influence of this sense of dharma, right? Knowing what you're here to do on this earth, and letting that be divinely inspired, right? That's kind of how the psychedelic is coming in. It's like this, sometimes this revelation and this divine inspiration of like, wow, this is what I should be doing with my life. And then the integration work is to take that in, surrender to that, and then embody that, live with that purpose. Kali and B is asking, how much is coaching? What kind of coaching do you mean? It depends. And also, with how much, you mean how much money? If you're curious, you can schedule a call with me. There's a link somewhere. I don't know where that link is. I can send you the link and we can have a chat about it. Yeah, that's it. And surrendering to life. And also, I'm curious, why are you asking that question? I would be very curious. Surrendering to that embodiment of your dharma, of your calling, right? A lot of Joseph Campbell, who wrote the book, it's too far away, The Hero with the Thousand Faces, talking about the hero's journey. Accepting that call, that divinely inspired call of like something's calling you to do something, but you're afraid, you're scared, you're confused, you don't know how to integrate it, you don't know how to find your vision, follow your vision, you don't know if it's right or wrong, how to get unstuck. You're stuck in this job which pays for your bills, which pays for your food, right? And then you're scared to follow that calling, which calls you to do something crazy, right? Muster up some courage. And that's absolutely normal. That's understandable. Every hero is experiencing that resistance. But then, yeah, just like to go into that, embrace that, is what I've been finding one of the most powerful practice of integration. It's to really deeply have this divinely inspired dharma, this calling, this meaning, this purpose in life, and then to grow into that on a day-to-day basis, even if it's just small steps somewhere, but it's kind of this north star of your way of being in the world, what you're contributing, what you're giving back as well. It's a deeply spiritual thing and a deeply fulfilling thing as well, to give, to serve selflessly, right? Without this greed, effort, struggle. Of course, there's going to be challenges. It's going to be hard at times. There's going to be a lot of pain, and I don't know what else is going to be. All these other blocks and kind of stones that are going to be put in front of you on your way. But that's how you grow, to move that journey with surrender, with a certain sense of faith and trust in the divine, right? In the goodness of life. And then being as present as possible and being very attentive and aware towards each and every moment. And seeing like, is this aligned right here? And if not, then just like this awareness of the not being aligned is the first step to realign yourself then to yourself, to your calling, to your true self, to your true nature, which is always centered, which is always happy, which is always in alignment with the divine. Right? So that's the spiritual influencer. Here also pitfall, not going overly much into it, into the spiritual kind of overemphasis, saying like, okay, I've had all these crazy psychedelic experiences, they taught me to, I don't know, go seek God. Yes, that is beautiful, and if that's your true calling, then by all means go for it. But what I see is like with the psychedelic community and with the psychedelic space, and I've noticed it myself in the beginning of my journey, is like I was overly emphasizing the spirituality aspect, which then derailed and got me out of balance with a lot of these other aspects, looking at my physical influence, my physical environment, saying like, okay, my social life, my mental health, my emotional processing, right? All of these can easily be pushed aside if we have an overemphasis on the spiritual side. So don't get lost in this spiritual race almost, and then like seeing like, okay, I gotta integrate all this and be as spiritual as possible. It's like that's counterintuitive or counterproductive to the actual embodiment of spirituality. And also it's also related to over intellectualizing, right? It's like thinking too much about spirituality, which then brings you out of the being but into the mind again, which can then confuse kind of the two and confuse your spiritual experiences with just a lot of overthinking and thinking about spirituality and not practicing it on a day-to-day basis. Kalib is writing, I'm thinking on starting psychedelic spirituality and thought if you coached me, maybe it's better. Yeah, schedule a call. Let's talk about it and how I might be able to support you. Much love. I'm very passionate about empowering like-minded people on their journey through coaching, and it's a wonderful practice, a powerful one as well. You can just click on that link and schedule a call with me, and then we can have a chat about it and see if it resonates from kind of both sides. And a big one, like spirituality, there's so many big things to be aware of, like spiritual bypassing is another one. Using these psychedelic spiritual experiences as a way to escape almost, like into your own spiritual bubble. And also, what's that other thing called? Ego inflation, right? Saying like, okay, I've had these psychedelic experiences and these spiritual experiences, and now I'm better than you. I'm better than these people. That's what I kind of mentioned in the beginning of this live stream. I went to this meditation, group meditation here in my city, and even while I was there, I was slightly judging the people and the people kind of guiding it and the people who were there. And I was like, it's just like, it's an automatic process that just happens for me at times. And it's really weird. Like, I don't want it to happen. But like, sometimes my mind is thinking like that, yeah, I've had more spiritual experiences. I've gone deeper. This is baby spirituality. This is beginner spirituality. And it's like, it's this subtle judgment. And it's like, I don't want it to be there, and I've gotten better with training my mind on not falling into that subtle sense of judgment. But that's kind of like a subtle example of ego inflation. So it doesn't have to be like this big one of like thinking I am God, or like this your ego thinking I am God and nobody else is God, and this is going into this extreme spiral. But it can be just like this subtle superiority complex of like thinking you're better, further ahead, more spiritual because you've had some psychedelic experiences. Big trap, a big pitfall on the integration side of on the spiritual influencer. And also thinking you're above humanness, right? It's why think that? Yes, we are this all-encompassing consciousness. We are the big self. We're connected to the all. Beautiful. Maybe we even being adopted into DMT entity alien family. Wonderful. Or having experienced that we're coming from the seventh dimension planet 770, whatever. But it's like, why attach too much to that kind of transcendentalism? The transcendental, what are these other light beings called? I forgot their name. Celestial, no. Palladians? These kinds of spiritual beings, saying like, I'm one of those, and I'm not human. Neglecting your humanness, neglecting this earth. What purpose is there in this, right? There's a certain sense of beauty in having these realizations, but it's this duality of balancing the earthly and the transcendental, and embracing both, ascending to the higher and higher levels, spending time with the DMT entities, but also coming down into your humanness, appreciating your humanness, all that you are, right? Which is relating to all these other influences of taking care of your body, appreciating and taking care of your environment, which we're going to come into in a bit. Hey, Blue Green 38, good to see your balance. You must remain grounded in this physical world, or you can stray from reality and get lost in the spirit world, which can be very scary. Yes, absolutely. That's it. Balance is a key word, which I'm coming back to over and over and over and over again. It's really balance. And you kind of hear it, and if you read between the lines in all these spiritual scriptures, you read it as well. That many people are just talking about balance. A lot is about balance. And it's a very deep word as well, to contemplate. What does it even mean? Because also I don't want to neglect the transcendental and the spiritual, right? And overly indulge in the humanness. But it's like this fine balancing point, as you said, between being grounded in the physical world and in this right here, and then going up and being lost in spirit world. And also, if you go too far out or too frequently into psychedelic space over and over and over again, you're kind of flying above the ground. Like I sometimes I meet people these psychedelic festivals. Greetings to you, my brothers. You know who you are. Sometimes you're flying, like, and then you're not coming down again, which also kind of makes you unrelatable to others. Some people are like, who are you and why are you flying so high above the ground? Right? Always just in spirit world and like this very ungrounded. So both. Having both, that's kind of the key teaching, the key insight. Coming to the step number 5, the 5th influencer. And there's 6 of them. So basically the 5th step of the 5 steps that I mentioned in my psychedelic integration guide, in this little ebook and guide that I wrote, which you can download for free, by the way, in the video description, is the social influencer, relating to the people around you, your social interactions, the influence of your family, your friends, your co-workers, community, people in your city, neighbors. That's it. Networking, fostering positive and meaningful relationships are key components to psychedelic integration as well. And we're living in a very interesting time, right? It's beautiful to see that psychedelics get more and more accepted in our cultural atmosphere, right? There's still a lot of people who don't understand, a lot of people who are like, who just have no clue about what it is, or like believing these like outdated beliefs that it's like every time you take a psychedelic, you get stuck in this psychotic loop. I talked to one today, which kind of believed that. And that's okay. Meeting that with love and compassion is like, that's one practice. And then proactively seeking out community is, I found, such a crucial part, online and offline. So online, it's beautiful that you're here, right? This is a space, and I'm planning to create a separate community space in which we can not just communicate here through the live stream or through the videos, me talking and you're just listening, but also having interactions and integration circles. That's coming, and it's already kind of in the process with my active coaching clients, having this like little inner circle community support, which is emerging slowly. And then offline as well, seeking groups of people who understand, who get you. And that's the beautiful thing about this little like cultural shift that is happening. It's possible to just travel, even if that means traveling a little bit, to meet people who are interested in psychedelic space, or who are kind of like psychedelically minded, and you kind of recognize them as well. That's what I felt when the more I kind of journey deeper into my psychedelic experiences, I kind of feel almost like if a person has done psychedelics. So just with a little bit of small talk, a little bit of like interaction with somebody, I don't even have to ask, even though like psychedelics are coming up very fast in my conversations. It's like, what do you do? I have a YouTube channel about psychedelics. And then it's like, oh, okay, then the conversation is going. But you don't have to get there. You can get a sense of like if people are on the same level, on the same vibe. And then connecting with those. It's like, it's one of the most crucial ones. Christopher Page in LSD and the Mind of the Universe has written about it in as he was kind of suppressing his psychedelic self and his opinions and his perspective and his practice of psychedelics with his co-workers, for example, in a university setting as a professor. And that had a deep impact on him. And he described how deeply, deeply painful it was not to be able to share that aspect of himself with his relationships with the people around him, and that this hindered a lot of his integration, and that's just a missed potential. So really giving attention and care and awareness into the social influencer, saying, I am proactively gonna connect with people, online communities, in-person circles, therapist, coaching, like whatever these meetups look like, and build these relationships. So thank you all for being here and building our relationship, right? This is wonderful. And I want to answer your questions. Kali NB, Oxen, good to see you here, brother. If you could choose one religion, what would it be? I don't like these hypothetical questions, which I can't answer. I don't know. Particularly that question, I could not answer, because I just recently came to the realization that I love all of them. Like there's so much beauty in all of them, and I am gonna not choose one for myself as well. I was contemplating if I want to go deeper into one, or if I want to keep exploring a vast array and keep this like background awareness, bigger picture perspective. But I love all of them. I got in through the Zen Buddhism, so the Zen Buddhism is resonating a lot with me. That's one of my favorite, kind of. But also like Christian mysticism, the Kabbalah. There's the Tao Te Ching. Taoism is resonating a lot with me. I love getting into Sikhism. I'm reading the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji at the moment. Sikhism is one that's resonating a lot with me as well. Chanting a lot of them, these Sikh mantras. I love the Hindu mythology and all the different Vedantas that are kind of springing off of that. I love Buddhism. Wonderful. No, I can't choose. Like if I had to choose one, which one would it be? I don't know. I couldn't. Probably Zen. If I would just answer your question just out of intuition, it might be Zen, because I like the simplicity of it. Oxen, for me, it's a synergy of grounding and descending. That's the key. 1 foot in the ground, 1 foot in the unreality of the ground. Yes, absolutely. Keeping the awareness of the illusion while actively and responsibly engaging in it. That's it. Which brings me to the last influencer to kind of wrap up that workbook presentation, which is the environmental influencer. Also one that's vastly overlooked at times, saying like everything that's relating to your environment, right? To the setting that you're in, your home, your city, your surroundings, everything is kind of impacting your mood, your productivity, your well-being, and curating a very healthy and supportive environment that aligns with your nature and your resonance and your preferences is crucial. So looking at your room, like how does my room feel? What does it need? Does it need more plants? That's one thing it was for me. Like right behind you, right behind the camera, I have so many more plants. There's like 30 of them. It's almost like a jungle here. Yes, Islam is also a good one. I haven't looked that much into it. That's why I haven't mentioned it. But I like some of their teachings, for sure. More like what from the religions, I more like resonate with the mystical kind of approaches to each religion. So I think like Rumi and Kabir, they were like in that kind of Muslim territory, but they were looking through religion. So that's kind of where I resonate with each and every single one of them. The kind of mystics that just transcend and look through the rigid structures of religion. And your environment is kind of really, impacting you. So your room is impacting you. How clean it is, right? Cleaning your room, vastly overlooked at times, as a practice of psychedelic integration. It's impacting psychedelic space as well. As a beautiful preparation practice, I always love to clean up my room, right? Really make everything clean and put everything in its place, and then go into psychedelic space in that setting. But basically, our setting is like our environment is our setting for life, right? Everything is our setting. It's just not, why just give importance to the setting of the psychedelic experience? Our life is a psychedelic experience. So giving attention and awareness and love to the setting of our life is crucial. And that also means like saying like, okay, is the city that I'm living in resonating with me? Are the people here resonating with me? Is it possible to change this? And I can say, yes, it is. Like, even though you might feel stuck in a job and you don't have enough money, you have some friends kind of that want you to be there, family that wants you to be there, but you're free to choose a different environment that is more aligned. It's actually one of my next steps to move out of this beautiful little apartment in this city here in Germany and move to a more aligned environment based on psychedelic experiences, based on psychedelic insight that connected me to my true nature, to my core, to my authenticity of my being, which just prefers to be in another space at times. So yeah, taking care of your environment, not neglecting your environment. Shape it, create like a sanctuary, create a beautiful space that you can thrive in. And also obviously connect with nature. Go out into nature if you like it. I don't know. Maybe some weird people are not resonating that much with nature, but nature is crazy beautiful, I can say. And I want to be close to nature and in nature, and immersing myself in nature is a way of integrating the psychedelic experience on an environmental level, which then obviously influences the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and the social one as well. So that's it. That's the influences. All of them. If you want to go deeper into each and every single one of them, and also know about the certain different pitfalls, and read some beautiful little quotes, you can download my free ebook, 5 Steps to Embody Your Psychedelic Insights into Daily Life. It's a quick and holistic transformational guide for your psychedelic integration. And the link to download that for free is in the video description. Wow, there was a lot to go through. And hello, Music to the Soul. I can't read names. Music to the Soul? Is that correct? I'm watching on 2 different devices, and the latency sync timing is different, very off. Yet I can communicate with you in an illusion that makes me feel like we are in the same moment. That's funny. Why are you watching me in 2 different devices? I'm curious. Why not choose one? Sometimes I feel like we are 3D frames in a God movie, living an illusion of interaction. Yes. Very rarely I get that sense, but for sure I feel what you mean. And also sometimes it feels for me like that this movie that we're in is just playing itself out. Like it's something new for me, and it's described in all kinds of religions and Buddhism and the practices, so it's not an uncommon phenomenon. But I kind of feel like the deeper I go on my journey of psychedelics and of spirituality, I get a sense of detachment from myself, right, which I'm cultivating. And then so sometimes it just feels like my life is a movie that I'm watching. It's basically just unfolding on its own. There's not much control that I have over it. And it's just like playing itself out, and I feel this kind of dissociation and detachment from it, as if I'm in this kind of background awareness just watching life, even though I am also living my life in a way, right? I don't know if you get what I mean, but that reminded me of that. Like we're in a 3D frame in a God movie, living an illusion of interaction. And sometimes it just feels that way, of like I'm interacting, but basically it's all one. It's just me interacting with me, as we're all one awareness, one consciousness. It's like, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. I'm curious, are any of you like experiencing this sense of detachment as well? I might want to strengthen it, right? This is a path. Not in a bad way of like disengaging with life, but yeah, just like loosening up that identification, that overly attached identification with myself, with my mind, and kind of like, as Ramdas said, become nobody, and retreat back into that background awareness, the observer. And yeah. Any idea about intellect is the death of the soul and its relation to today's education? I don't know what you exactly mean by that. I have not really heard that message before. Maybe I can Google it. Intellect. So if you might expand on that, if you have any specific question. Oh, I think it was just like a phrasing. There's nothing coming up in Google. Intellect is the death of the soul. It depends on what we define intellect as and what we define soul as. So, in my understanding and definitions of the word intellect and soul, no. The intellect is not the death of the soul. But as you were describing and relating it to today's education, you might mean our education system, which for me feels like the death of the intellect and the soul. I don't know, maybe I've had just like a too much of a traumatizing experience in school, kind of looking through all of it and having some psychedelic experiences and then not wanting to be in that kind of what felt like a prison. But I feel like the intellect and the soul can beautifully be integrated together, which kind of speaks to what I said, like balancing the influences, right? The mental influencer and the mental environment, and integrating on that kind of level, and then developing on the spiritual, the soul level, and balancing them both. And then also, what does the death of the soul mean, right? It's like in your statement, that because the soul, in my understanding, cannot die. It cannot be reduced. We can maybe add a layer of ignorance, which might make us less aware of the true light of the soul, but and cloud it through our intellect, which might be happening in our educational systems a little bit. But the soul cannot die, like ever. It's always shining, very bright. It's always there for us. Music to the soul. Music to the soul. Is that how it's pronounced? Generates subtitles instantly, blackmails us into accepted behaviors, and if we do not conform, the entity that has more control over commanding programming limits access and visibility. Yes, I don't exactly understand what you mean by that, but yes. I would say I agree. Guys, any more questions? Put them in the chat right now. Soul, sun, instead of soul. Yes, yeah, that's what I was... soul, right? Yeah, the soul. If you have any more questions, put them in the chat right now, as I really want to enjoy these fruits. They've been waiting for me here for an hour, and I don't feel comfortable just snacking them over and over again and just like letting you watch me snack because they're so good. I'm gonna be here to answer any more curiosities or questions that you have, and then I'm gonna wrap this thing up. It was wonderful to spend some time with you. As I said, it's like really go and download that free guide, that book, 5 Steps to Embody Your Psychedelic Insights in Daily Life. Link is in the video description. It's a good one. It's a fun, quick read that you might enjoy. And also, you can, if you're curious to talk to me one-on-one and deepen our personal connection and eventually work together if it resonates, there's a link in the chat where you can book a one-on-one call and we can talk about where you are at in your journey, what you're struggling with, and kind of create a personalized integration roadmap for yourself. So that's about the places I might want to point you at. And there was a message before the one you read. I guess I didn't arrive on your end. Yeah, and otherwise I might end with a little song. Which one? Govinda Narayana Gopala Narayana Govinda Narayana Gopala Narayana Govinda Gopala Narayana Govinda Gopala Narayana Hari Govinda Gopala Narayana Hari Govinda Gopala Narayana Govinda Narayana Gopala Narayana Govinda Narayana Gopala Narayana Govinda Gopala Narayana Govinda Gopala Narayana Hari Govinda Gopala Narayana Hari Govinda Gopala Narayana Govinda Narayana Gopala Narayana Keep that time in your calendar as well. I'll try to be here live every Sunday at this time around, 9 p.m. Central European Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And let's have a chat. If there's any day that you might prefer, let me know in the chat as well, or in the comments, and I might be able to adjust to that. And otherwise, have fun integrating your psychedelic experiences and your life, as psychedelic integration is nothing else but life. Your life. Our life is the psychedelic experience, and to integrate means to balance out and align ourselves in every one of the influences, which might be the physical influencer, the mental influencer, the emotional influencer, the spiritual influencer, the social influencer, and the environmental influencer. And it's hard to juggle all of them at times as a little tiny human being with so many distractions and struggles, right? But we can try, because why not? And have some fun. Have some fun doing that. So if there's not any questions anymore, I will leave it at that. I'm hungry and tired as well. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure. And I love you all. See you soon. Much love.